Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you don't know who I am, I'm Lily and I regularly post videos about one of the books I've read. Today I'm pleased to introduce you to Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. It's a mix of love story, mystery, courtroom drama and nature writing. The story takes place in the 50s and 60s, lush Carolina coastal marsh, and is about coming of age in abject poverty. It's about being alone and the love of nature. And there's something fairy tale-like about this story. As always, I'll briefly discuss the bullet points, then I introduce the author, give you a spoiler-free summary of the story, and at the end I share my impressions with you and give you a conclusion. So let's go. Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens belongs in the genre literary fiction, and I think you can understand this story well from 14 years and up. The book was published 2018 by G.P. Putnam's Sons. It has 384 pages and the reading time is around 3.5 hours. A similar book to this is Tell the Wolves I'm Home by Carol Rivka Brunt. Yeah, those were the bullet points. Now I would like to tell you something about the author Delia Owens. She was born in 1949 in southern Georgia, USA. She was an outdoors girl who loved to ride in the woods of Thomasville. She got her love of the outdoors from her mother, who encouraged her to scout the oak woods and showed her how to be outdoors in the wilderness without fear of the various creatures. Thus, nature became her friend. During summer vacations, her family usually spent time in the mountains of North Carolina. While she was gifted in writing as a child, winning first place in a writing contest, for example, she later decided to pursue a career in the natural sciences. She studied zoology and graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree from the University of Georgia and went on to earn a PhD in animal behavior from the University of California at Davis. In the 1970s, Delia Owens spent time in Africa with her husband. The couple drove overland in a rickety Land Rover to the Kalahari Desert in Botswana, where, except for a few bushmen, they camped alone. Over the span of over 7 years, they studied lions and hyenas. Based on these experiences, the best-selling and award-winning book Cry of the Kalahari was published. The couple moved on to the North Luangwa Valley of Zambia, where they continued their wildlife research with elephants and started a program where they employed local people so they did not have to poach to survive. And this project continues to this day. Delia Owens published her research in scientific journals and received awards such as the Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands and University of California for excellence. Back from Africa, Delia Owens lived in the northern Rockies of Idaho and today in the mountains of North Carolina, where she spent her vacations as a child. Where the Crawdads Sing is Delia Owens' debut novel and dominated the bestseller lists worldwide. And it was actually the best-selling book of the year 2019 and 2020. It has sold over 10 million copies and filming recently wrapped for the planned motion picture. Yes, that's to Delia Owens. Now let's turn to the story. The story is set in the 50s and 60s in the marshes near Barkley Cove. That's a fictional coastal town in North Carolina. In this story we follow the girl Kaya Clark as she grows up. She lives with her family in a shabby shack in the marshlands where those who've been outcasts from society live. Kaya is just 7 years old when her mother, wearing crocodile shoes and holding a suitcase, flees her violent husband and leaves her 5 children behind without a word of goodbye or a second look. The father, a drunkard, does not take care of his children at all. And after the 4 older siblings also have had enough of the father's screaming and beating and drinking in continuous loop and leave home as well. And now Kaya, the youngest of them all, is left alone with her father. She attends school for only 1 day, and when she's laughed at and mocked as a March girl, she stays away, and that's why she doesn't learn how to write and to read. She avoids people because she senses their rejection. This is an experience that shapes her entire life. Instead, she spends her time in the marshland, studying birds and the nature, and eagerly awaiting her mother's return. From the animals, Kaya has learned how to make herself invisible, and she's mostly silent and takes care of the household as best as she can so as not to incur her father's wrath even further. And for a while this works out quite well. He stays away from alcohol, he pays attention to her, and he even takes her fishing, and Kaya is so happy. But then a letter from her mother arrives and the father starts to drink again, and one day he simply doesn't return from one of his binges. And with him, his paltry pension from his time in the military is also gone, and Kaya has nothing left. Not even money for food or basic necessities. She is 10 years old and all alone when she has to fight for bare survival in the marshlands. She then smokes fish and collects shells to sell to Jumpin, a black trader from the nearby black settlement. And he and his wife support Kaya where they can, collecting clothes for her and giving her affection. Kaya grows into a black-haired beauty, wild and free, independent, living in the nature, who became her teacher. Then love comes into play as she attracts the attention of the slightly older Jade. He is a nature-loving, sensitive boy who spends a lot of time in the marsh, and the two become friends over gifts of rare bird feathers, and Tate teaches her to write and read. Later he too will leave her to study biology, and Kaya enters into a relationship with Chase Andrews. The latter is a popular boy from Barkley Cove and the best quarterback the area has seen, and Kaya hopes through him to be accepted into society. This Chase Andrews is the subject of the second part of the book that is set in the late 1960s, where Chase is found dead and murder is assumed. And it does not take long until the main suspect is found and put on the dock in a trial. This to the summary. Let's move on to my impression. Thumbs up. The book reads easily and fluidly despite the very slow pace with lots of nature descriptions. The story is exciting because of the murder case that there's to solve. The story, especially Kaya's, has a slow rhythm. It is a character-driven book, and you stay with Kaya, grow with her, and this has something very intimate about it. She is in need of help because of her hard fate. I anguished with and for her, and through her lostness, she grew very close to my heart. Through this closeness to the characters, the interpersonal relationships were also portrayed very well. I especially like the one she built with Jumpin, and the little observations like how he puts his head back when he laughs. I was immersed in that time, feeling the sense of being an outcast from society, and this is something she shares with Jumpin, and yet Kaya is not bitter but finds her peace in nature, is strong and independent, and free. I like that she doesn't let it get her down, but makes the best of her life, a fighter who learns how to read and write, and even majors into a writer, poet and biologist. And there are definitely some parallels to the author. The flora and fauna are described extremely accurately. I immediately thought that the author must have extraordinary expertise, and Delia Owens' love of nature flows into the story. Actually, the title of the book, Where the Crawdads Sing, is a phrase Delia heard from her mother, meaning where nature and animals are still pristine. Beautiful descriptions, the labyrinth of river courses where you can get lost very quickly, and suddenly I realized the beauty of the lush marshland with its diversity of species, a feast for ornithologists that were actually unknown to me. For example, the moving ground I could super imagine. As a reader, it just takes you into a slow soak, and it's an interesting mixture of love story, murder case and nature writing. It's something special. The inserted chapters with the second time level, the sloppily done murder investigation and the trial gave the story tension and still a little speed. And the ending was certainly surprising, although I thought it would end this way. And at this point, I would like to come to the thumbs down. And here I'll go to Kaya first. As I mentioned, she doesn't really seem to mind being an outcast, as nature and animals are her friends. Not very believable and painted too pink. Just her fate should give the character Kaya more depth and complexity, especially in adulthood, and I didn't feel that. And also the other characters were painted quite one-dimensional and cliché, like the sloppy investigators or the gossiping village people, Tate, too good to be true, the handsome and popular quarterback jumping, and this made them quite boring at times. I would have liked to see less black and white character design and more of the real conflicts that existed at that time between black and white people. Even this issue was only skirted around the edges so that the story remained as harmonious as possible. I couldn't get rid of the suspicion that the author hadn't ventured into the abysses of the human soul. In my opinion, the love scenes were not dealt with enough. Even there it remained quite superficial. Instead, nature was described extensively, which could have been taken back a little. Then the story in terms of structure, nothing new. We have a trial and then flashbacks to the past and the main suspect and the events leading up to the trial. The end of the story and the events after the trial were, in my opinion, dealt with briefly. I would have liked the same care as the part leading up to then. Yeah, this to the thumbs down and to my impression. Let's move on to the conclusion. The book is a mixture of Mowgli and Huckleberry Finn for a quiet reading afternoon, and with 3.5 hours reading time, a nice morsel for in between. It's a book that everyone can understand, and for those who love long nature descriptions. Personally, I prefer stories with a little more depth and characters with more rough edges out of the comfort zone. But in hard times, a book like Where the Crawdads Sing is a nice time out. And I'm looking forward to the movie. Have you all read this book? Please let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. As always, thank you so much for watching and taking the time to do so. I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah? Then don't forget to subscribe and like. I have an Instagram channel to join me as well. Alright, I'll see you real soon in the next video. Until then, take care of yourself. Bye.